Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday. It's beautiful outside. It's 10 o'clock. It's time for 10 with Tim. And we are in, seriously, just one of the richest and most important passages in all of Scripture. It's in Genesis chapter 32, verses 22 to 32. I'm glad that you're with me. We just go verse by verse through the Word of God, Monday through Friday, 10 minutes at 10 o'clock. And gosh, it's amazing how much ground you can cover just by taking those steps each and every day. And I appreciate you for taking those steps with me. Thank you for being faithful to join me. Thank you for being faithful to stay in the Word for yourself. I love the way some of you read so carefully and deeply, and you help me learn things. So thank you. This passage is, like I said, one of the most famous. This is Jacob who becomes Israel. You know, the very, he's the father of the people of God. I mean, Israel, this is where it gets its name, the nation. It's all right here. The father of the nation is Jacob, and this is his signature story, his pivotal moment. And it's, for being so important, it's so short, and it's so very mysterious. And I mean mysterious. It's just sort of out of nowhere. You know, as we said, Jacob is alone now. He has sent everybody ahead, split his camp into two camps so that Esau can't kill everybody. Esau is marching on his way with an army of 400 men. Jacob's got a lot. He's got flocks and donkeys and sheep and wives and kids, but he does not have an army. And now he has nobody. He is by himself, just simply waiting for morning. And then it just says, alone in the camp, and a man jumped out of the darkness and wrestled him till daybreak. I mean, that's just it. I mean, it sort of jumps on us the way the man jumps on Jacob. It's like, what? What is happening? Where did he come from? Why are we fighting now? I mean, it's just the most shocking turn of events ever. Up to this point, Jacob's got everything he wanted. Laban kind of made things difficult, but Laban didn't stop Jacob from rising to the top. I mean, his name means deceiver, and Jacob has gotten in the habit of lying, cheating, manipulating to get everything that he wants, and he's gotten everything that he wants. And so far, it seems like, God himself has, watched from heaven and sort of, tilted everything in Jacob's direction. And it's like, is he ever going to have to face, the consequences? Is he ever going to have to change, or is this just going to be his life? And is God going to let him get away with all of it? And it looks that way because God had promised, I will bring you back home. I'll bring you back to this place. And all Jacob's got to do is walk across the river, and he's going to be home. So God's kept all of his promises. Meanwhile, Jacob, never really had to even follow God much. I mean, he's kind of kept God at an arm's length. He hasn't been particularly spiritual or worshipful. I mean, aside from these specific episodes. And so you just wonder, is God just smiling on him? God just up from heaven, or showering down the blessings? And it seemed that way until this night. When that stranger jumps out of the darkness and pins him to the ground. And in the beginning, he's called a man, but we don't know who he is. Is it Esau? Because that's what you're thinking. Did Esau sneak in? Was he doing some sort of reconnaissance, and he sees his opportunity to finally leap out and give Jacob what he's got coming to him? Because somebody needs to give Jacob what he's got coming to him, I mean, he's never had to answer for anything. He just always comes out smiling, and I mean, he's lived up to his name. It's deceiver, right? That's who he is. And the stranger comes and just wrestles him all night long. I've never really been in a fight. Fights just sound like a lot of work. I mean, not like when I fought my sister. We both got tired and quit eventually. But this is a fight that goes all night long. This is fighting tooth and nail. Punching. Struggling. Sweating, spitting. I mean, it's that kind of fight until the end, when the stranger, just sort of touches his hip and cripples Jacob and says, let me go, I'm out of here. And at that moment, you realize if he could do that, then he could have done that the whole time. What's this about? It's like, you ever played like thumb wrestling with the kid, and the kid is a kid, right? And I'm thumb wrestling with kids from church, and to be honest, it lasts as long as I want it to last, because whenever I'm done, boom, I can pin them down, It's over when I say it's over. And the stranger obviously has that power to end this whenever he wants to end it, which means it goes all night long. I mean, if he could have ended it from the beginning, if he could have just crippled Jacob, pin him to the ground, which is what he deserves, then why not just do that? Well, obviously there's more to this story, right? Obviously the fight lasts this long because one way or the other, this stranger is going to get the fight out of Jacob. Jacob's got to get to the end of whatever it is in him that makes him want to claw and spit and grab heels and deceive and always, fight for what he thinks he wants. Somehow or another, you got to get that out of him. And somehow or another in this night, that's what happens. Jacob comes to the end of his strength, the end of his wrestling, the end of his grabbing, And at that moment, the stranger's about to leave. And all of a sudden, what was a fight? It was Jacob, fighting for his life, scratching, biting, spitting. All of a sudden, it's not a fight anymore. It's just Jacob clinging. And he says, no, I'm not going to let you go till you bless me. What? What has happened? Somehow in the midst of the darkness and in the midst of the struggle, Jacob realizes something. He realizes that this is no stranger jumping out of the darkness to destroy him. This stranger is actually a blessing in disguise. That this hand that has the power to cripple him is also the hand and the only hand that has the power to bless him. I won't let you go until you bless me. I find that just so interesting. Some of you right now, you may be in that dark night of the soul. You may feel like you're in the midst of a situation that is going to pin you to the ground and destroy you. It's going to push the life out of you. And I'm telling you, you want to know how to win in this situation? Do you want to know what you're supposed to do when a stranger, whatever it is, cancer, divorce, jumps out of the darkness and wrestles you to the ground? You know what you need to do in that moment? You cling. You cling. You just keep on clinging until you squeeze a blessing out of that. You know what I mean? You are going to one way or the other get a blessing out of this, but not as long as you fight. You got to surrender. The victory comes with the surrender. The victory comes not by defeating this enemy, understand, but by recognizing that this enemy, this stranger, is actually a blessing in disguise. And so Jacob just clings and says, I won't let you go until you bless me. And then what happens? Stranger at this point says, well, what's your name? Okay, I know that seems odd, but that's exactly what Jacob needs to face, right? Because what's his name? It's deceiver. My name's deceiver. I mean, and the man, the stranger, the angel, God in the flesh, says, what's your name? And Jacob says, deceiver. I mean, make him say it, and that's what he says. It's deceiver. And what's the stranger say? Well, that's not your name anymore. That's not who you are anymore. Do you understand that? The blessing is that. That's the blessing. The blessing is that ability to be transformed. I mean, nothing else is ever going to change Jacob, only the power of God. And that power of God had to nearly pin him to the ground before Jacob would once and for all stop fighting the only God who has the power to bless him. What's your name? It's deceiver. And then God says, that's not who you are anymore. From this day on, your name's going to be Israel, which means what? He wrestles with God, He wrestles with God. You understand? That's the blessing available to you right now today. Right now, this situation, this stranger that you thought was coming out of the darkness to destroy you. No, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's that blessing because you say, what's your name? And you want to say, my name is divorce. My name is widow. My name is fear. My name is liar. My name is addict. My name is alcoholic. My name is abused child. My name is abused wife. My name is abuser, abusive husband, abusive father. And you understand the power of God that says that's not who you are anymore. That's not your name anymore. You shall no longer be called that. From this day on, you got a new name. You are a new man, Jacob. And Jacob gets up out of this man and he limps. He's always going to limp. And somehow I love that, because he tangled up with God. He laid a hold of God, and he names that place, but Peniel, which means face of God, because somehow he realizes that wasn't no man. That wasn't no stranger. That wasn't my brother Esau. That was God. I have come face to face with God. Man, he's never going to be the same. He's going to limp after that. But understand, as he limps away, he is walking in victory. Victory comes with surrender. Victory comes with finally, once and for all, engaging and losing the fight so that you can win. Do you understand? You win the fight with God when you finally give up fighting him. Because this God, this God, with that power to destroy you, uses all that power just to bless you. He's come to bless you. Oh, I love it so much. Such a good story. It's just so good. Picking up right here tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're finally going to meet Esau. He's already wrestled God face to face now. I think he's ready for Esau. Chapter 33, verses 1 to 20. Genesis, chapter 33, verses 1 to 20. Man, that's one of my favorite stories in the whole Bible right there. I love that. That is not your name anymore. I love it. Listen, I love you. I'll see you in the morning, Lord willing, 10 o'clock for 10 with Tim. Stay in the Word, read ahead, and enjoy this beautiful day God has given us. It's going to be glorious.